Our topic today is name, image, and likeness. It's something I'm sure that if you follow college athletics, if you follow athletics in general, it's a topic that is discussed on a daily basis, many times more than that.
Absolutely.
Our guests today include Brett Whiteside, who's the Executive Director of On to Victory, and Jeff Whitehead, who's the Executive Associate AD for Compliance at Auburn University. I'm Andy Burcham. Let's start, just kind of give us a state of the OTV right now. Give us
Absolutely.
a state of
the Union. Here's where we're at.
Yeah.
So we're a year and a half into our existence, 2.5 years into the opportunities for name, image, and likeness. We've had opportunities to support over 400 Auburn student athletes through NIL deals from 16 different sports here. And so really proud of those accomplishments. We're excited to have 200 athletes actively on contract right now, again, from 16 different sports. And so really feel like we're making a positive impact in the lives of our student athletes and also our sports programs. As you mentioned, this is one of the #1 topics in college athletics right now. And we truly feel like those NIL collectives who are supporting at the highest level, it's going to be directly related to on-field, on-court success. And so we're happy to be a part of this process.
Jeff, for someone in your business, in the compliance business, how much has it changed for you in the last 4 to 5 years?
Oh, it's amazing, Andy. You know, you look back to where we were. This was always taboo. You know, kids NIL. We can talk back to Jeremy Bloom, the Olympic skier, was playing football at Colorado, and it was a big deal of eligibility because it was such a name brand. But he couldn't accept anything because of his status as a college athlete. And then we flipped it on its head about 3 years ago. And you know, someone who's been in the business a while, for me, you've got to retrain your brain of, hey, what once was taboo is now permissible. So how do we be proactive in this space? But because of that, it's turned it into it's a daily thing. How are we being creative? How are we being compliant? You know, because there are still, believe it or not, some guidelines in this space.
Not a lot, but there are some.
Yeah. So it has become a daily thing across my desk that you're looking at and trying to manage. And Brett and I talk all the time for that exact reason. So
I'm probably the only leader in NIL that has a compliance guy in his favorites on his iPhone. That's for sure. We talk a lot and just want to run everything by and make sure we're doing things the right way.
The importance then of that relationship, professional relationship that you have with Jeff and his staff at Auburn, because as Jeff mentioned, I mean, this is a fluid. I mean, it seems like it's changing weekly, daily, hourly
absolutely.
At times.
When I do education, whether it's with Brett or our staff, it's you know, I almost preface it with what I tell you today may not be true tomorrow. Yeah. So just know it's constantly moving, you know, and we can get into tons of conversations of how we got here, but it didn't fit neatly into an NCAA process. So it's lived in this interim guidance world that's could be updated and changed at any point, and now we're trying to, unfortunately, to some of the court decisions, put some more graphs on it and kind of ran some legislation through the process, through the NCAA process, to see if we can get to a good spot. But the courts are still kind of dictating where we're headed, and the NCAA has historically been reactive, and we're trying to catch up and figure out what it looks like.
How much is your communication with the NCAA right now with regard to NIL?
Well, it's funny. We do a lot through the conference because the NCAA is in a tough spot when it comes to NIL because of the litigation out there. While they're trying to do, you got to remember, the NCAA is a membership organization, run organization. So the legislation generally comes from its members of what we want to see. Now there's been some court orders and, like I said, some injunctions out there that have kind of forced our hand. So the NCAA has been very careful about what they are providing, what they don't provide. And you kind of got to lean on whether it's your institutional general counsel, outside counsels, the conference, because you just got to be mindful that, unfortunately, there's a lot of lawyers out there right now who are seeing this as their payday. And unfortunately, they've been successful, or fortunately, they've been successful, you know, to the benefit of the kids. Sure. But it's put us in a quirky spot of trying to figure out what it is, you know, because the NCAA is going to say, hey, you're wrong on this, and they're going to ding you for it. But they're not necessarily providing a ton of guidance. So that's where we've just had to be very proactive, very transparent, just because you can't be wrong about it.
Brett, what's the most prominent piece of misinformation with regard to NIL and On to Victory that you deal with?
Yeah, I think there's probably two. Number one, that this is pay for play, that we're paying these athletes to play their sports, and that's not accurate. I mean, there's still this piece of the fact that these athletes are treating this as if it's their job, but they're doing it for the love of their game. They're doing it because they love being at Auburn, competing for their institution. With name, image, and likeness, they actually have services that they have to perform. Whether they're making an appearance like we have coming up this weekend, or whether they're doing autograph signings or making social media posts, whatever those activities are, they are performing a service, which is what name, image, and likeness is all about.
I'll jump in there. Andy, Brett hit it on the head there, but there's not many rules in NIL, believe it or not. There's not many. But one of the few is it cannot be pay for play. It's got to be a quid pro quo. You have to do something in return for this money. So like I said, Brett and him and I have gone back and forth many times of fulfilling these obligations of, hey, are we doing appearances? Are we doing it? And autographs, whatever it may be. But they're very good, and it's clear in their contracts of what they have to do to receive their compensation, because it is not related to athletic performance at Auburn University.
And then I think number two on that, Andy, is that a common misconception is, why don't the university just fund it? Why don't the university just give them a piece of their TV money or add $5 to a ticket? Why don't they just do that? Well, those are impermissible. And sure, down the road, I absolutely see those things coming. I see that a ticket surcharge. I see, TV right sharing. I see possible employment coming down the road. But that's not the world that we're living in right now. And so, like I mentioned earlier, it is those NIL collectives, those fan bases that decide, hey, while this is in play in its current state, let's be a leader in it. And until the university can take this over, this is really the only mechanism that's out there. And it's that way nationwide. I was talking with a group that manages over 50 collectives, and 98% of the payments that athletes are receiving right now are coming through fan-based collectives. And about 2% is coming from business deals. And so right now, this is the mechanism that's in place nationwide, not just here.